The hospitality industry is a broad category of fields within service industry that includes lodging, event planning, theme parks, transportation, cruise line, and additional fields within the tourism industry. The hospitality industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry that depends on the availability of leisure time and disposable income. A hospitality unit such as a restaurant, hotel, or an amusement park consists of multiple groups such as facility maintenance and direct operations, servers, housekeepers, porters, kitchen workers, bartenders, management, marketing, and human resources, etc. Usage rate, or its inverse vacancy rate, is an important variable for the hospitality industry. Just as a factory owner would wish a productive asset to be in use as much as possible as opposed to having to pay fixed costs while the factory is not producing, so do restaurants, hotels, and theme parks seek to maximize the number of customers they process in all sectors. This led to formation of services with the aim to increase usage rate provided by hotel consolidators. Information about required or offered products are brokered on business networks used by vendors as well as purchasers. In looking at various industries, barriers to entry by newcomers and competitive advantages between current players are very important. Among other things, hospitality industry players find advantage in old classics, location, initial and ongoing investment support reflected in the material upkeep of facilities and the luxuries located therein, and particular themes adopted by the marketing arm of the organization in question, for example at theme restaurants. Also very important are the characteristics of the personnel working in direct contact with the customers. The authenticity, professionalism, and actual concern for the happiness and well-being of the customers that is communicated by successful organizations is a clear competitive advantage.
In the hospitality industry in Australia, manual handling accounts for more than half of workplace compensation claims. The good news is, musculoskeletal injuries are preventable. There is now legislation in place that requires employers to look at manual handling tasks in their workplace, to assess the risk associated with performing these tasks, and to introduce ways to eliminate or reduce the risks. In this program, we are going to share several ideas with you as to how you can minimise your chances of becoming a manual handling statistic.
Use oven mitts or dry cloths when handling hot objects.
Assume that it's hot rather than assuming it's not is a good way to do it.
When checking on the contents of a hot pot, lift the lid so it opens away from your body.
Some of the worst burns you get are actually from the steam.
If you've had something in the oven for 3 hours, if you've been braising something, and you take it out and you take the foil out, you've got to know that there's deadly steam in there that's going to burn you badly.
Put food into the pan with a motion away from your body.
You're putting it in when it's going away from you, so if there is a splash, it's going to splash away and not splash towards you.
Don't let handles extend over the edge of the stove or other burners.
Not to be in too much of a hurry when you're dealing with hot objects, and having the proper equipment. I don't know how many times I burned myself using something that I shouldn't have.
Announce your presence if you're coming up behind someone with a hot pot or pan.
If you're carrying something hot around a blind corner, if you've got a frying pan and you're moving it behind someone else, if you put a hot pan on a counter where someone else is working and don't tell them about it, there's all these accidental burns that happen.
When resting hot pans, communicate this to others and use visual cues. Be careful not to overheat oil. It can burst into flames. If you have an oil fire, turn off the gas and cover the flames with a fire-smothering blanket or damp cloth. If it's a large fire, use a wet chemical extinguisher.
If you do get a burn, make sure that you see a doctor. I've seen people put gels and creams. I see people put butter on their burns, and that's not what to do. Make sure that you get proper first aid.
There's a lot of efficiencies that have to happen in a kitchen for service to be on the table in 15 to 20 minutes for every plate. But it doesn't negate our responsibility to working in a safe and clean environment.
Never use water to extinguish an oil fire. And don't carry a burning pan.
Kia ora, Sam here. Hazardous substances aren't only dangerous when you are using them, they need to be stored safely too. It's not just what containers you store them in, but also where you store them and what substances they are stored next to. Some substances are incompatible. That means they will react dangerously if they mix, like kerosene and pour chemicals. The mixing of incompatible substances can have disastrous consequences. You need to know what you are storing and what the hazardous substance should be kept away from. Every hazardous substance has a safety data sheet which is available from your supplier. You will find important safety information in this document. Look for the section called Handling and Storage. Some substances can't be stored near combustible material, so can't be stored on wooden floors or shelves. Other substances need to be kept in special cupboards or have special handling rules when you have a certain amount. Every substance is different, so you need to read each substance's safety data sheet carefully.
Equipment care and precautions. Things to remember before using a machine. Check the cable of the machine. If there is any damage, do not use the machine and inform your supervisor immediately. Check the plug of the machine. If the plug is damaged, do not use it. Use only if the plug is in a good condition. Do not use UPS plug point. Always place the wire in the corners of the area to be cleaned to avoid anyone tripping over them and then start cleaning. Also, when you are cleaning, keep the materials required in a place where they do not come in anyone's path. While cleaning, do not hang the cable around your neck, but keep it on your right shoulder. Before starting cleaning, always display appropriate caution board so that everyone can see, and always wear personal protective equipment while you're working. Other precautions to be taken. Correct equipment should be used for each task. Do not pull machine by wire or hose. Follow instructions for dilution of chemicals. Start cleaning from the furthest point, from plug socket, and work backwards, keeping the cable behind you at all time. After use, switch off appliance and unplug. Clean equipment after each use and allow it to air dry. Empty vacuum bags and clean the vacuum brushes daily. Rinse shampoo tanks after each use and wind hose and wires as prescribed by the manufacturer.
Did you know that 8,499 lost time injury claims in Ontario are due to overexertion? That's 17% of all claims submitted. And despite their size, small businesses are no exception. The most common hazards? Pulling and pushing, lifting and lowering, carrying and twisting. But there's good news. Simple safety solutions exist, and we're here to tell you about them. Here's a few starters. Make loads smaller, even if this means multiple trips. Don't store things on the floor. Use a cart whenever possible. Face direction of travel and turn using your feet, rather than twisting when carrying objects. Workplace safety doesn't have to be complicated.
Guys, thank you for watching the Eliminating Risk or Hazard for the Hospitality Industry. Bye!